Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I did them out of order. For you, it's evening, right?
It is. It's sorry, my cat is yes, it's already 11 p.m. here in Jordan.
So this is Hani Duake. I'm Rami Rustam. This is Deconstructing Islam, a weekly live stream where we're helping people who are struggling with Islam. And today's episode is about atheism, or rather the standard ways that Muslims misunderstand atheism, which is kind of partly what pushes them away from atheism. It's things that they are misunderstanding, and they don't like it about what they understand about atheism.
Yeah.
And so you said right before we went live, you said you were talking with a friend a week ago or something.
Yeah, like a couple of weeks ago, we had this discussion with, we were a group of friends and discussing it. And I would say I was the only one, we were like four. I was the only one that is, you can consider, I'm an atheist slash agnostic, where
what were the other ones?
They were believers in different levels. Some of them, they are very adhere to, they adhere to Islam. They pray 5 times a day.
Did anyone get angry?
And no, because they, again, we were discussing it, and I said, the problem with believers, and I don't want to generalize, but like most of them, they think that atheism is an ideology.
Yeah,
but it's not
a worldview.
It's not. It's basically, basically atheism is a reaction to believing. Basically believers, they say this is the truth. This is how the world has been created, blah blah blah, there is God and all of that.
A lot of blah blah blah, a lot of things they say.
A lot, exactly. And then atheism is about saying, okay, well, prove it. That's in a nutshell. We don't believe in what you believe. That's what atheism is not that there is set of rules in atheism, because you can have a capitalist who's an atheist, a communist who's an atheist, a socialist who's an atheist. So it's not an ideology. It's not like
even those terms you just said.
Even something.
Even those terms you just said have the same problem. If somebody says I'm a capitalist, or I'm a communist, or I'm a socialist, that still doesn't tell you enough information about what their worldview is. Each of those three words isn't a worldview. Atheism isn't a worldview. Now, Islam is a worldview, or you could say there's many versions.
Yes.
Theoretically, there should be one Islam if it was true. But there's really multiple Islams.
Yeah.
And there's multiple Christianities and multiple, even Mormonism. I guess there's more than one.
Yeah.
I mean, unless the thing started yesterday, there's probably more than one already. They split off. People disagree on what it really is.
Yeah.
But if I was to say what you were saying in a little bit different way, Muslims, believers of any religion, I guess, maybe not all of them, they see atheism as a worldview, as if it is competing with a worldview like Islam or Christianity or whatever.
Yeah.
But it is not a worldview. And here's the point. There are worldviews that in them they say, yes, there's no God, but there's not just one. You could say there's thousands. You could make more of them. Really, there's unlimited, just like there's unlimited religions.
Yeah.
However many religions you think there are today, somebody can make one tomorrow, and I bet you in 50 years we'll have at least another 10.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No, it's actually as I love what, I don't know if you know this British comedian Ricky Gervais, who said,
I was just watching him Afterlife before this.
and he said something quite interesting once in an interview. He said, actually,
I know what you're gonna say.
People in you know, there is about 4,000 religions
Yeah.
and sects around the world, and he said, you as a believer, you are actually an atheist
Yeah.
towards 3,999 religions, and
Yeah.
only one
Yeah.
that you believe in. And he said, so technically, a lot of people, there are a lot of atheists around the world.
There's another
And
way he says it. There's another
yeah,
way he says it too. He says, you know how you, and he's talking to the believer, you know how
yeah,
you don't believe in 3,999 gods? And they say,
yeah,
yeah. And they
yeah,
say, yeah. I go, and then he says, yeah, that's how I don't believe in your God too.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And the thing is, and that's what I told my friends, is like atheism is not about deconstructing a belief. It's just basically you believe in that, I just don't. And it's not about proving there is no God. You know, they think that atheism is an ideology that wants to prove there is no God. But actually, it's not. It's about you say that there is a God, show me a proof. It's, you know, I am not saying, you know, I am just saying that I will not believe in what you believe. But I don't care to prove there is God or no God. You know, I am just basically not believing in your ideology. And it's as simple as that. It's not an ideology. It's not like, you know, I live according to my non-religious way or agnostic way or atheist way. It's just basically, this is what I see, what I feel in life around me, and 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 I just act accordingly. But you know, for me, the most dangerous thing is that most of believers, especially Muslims, Christians as well to a certain extent, but maybe they evolved compared to Muslims, is that their main question when they know that I am a non-believer, and it's like, so how do you get to your morals?
Okay, that's what I was gonna say next.
Yeah, yeah,
What I was gonna
and
say.
that's
Go ahead. You want to finish what you were gonna say?
yeah. No, well, if you want to discuss it later, then I can wait to
No,
discuss
no. I was
this.
just I'm gonna say it right now. But finish what you're saying.
Yeah.
I just want to
No,
tell
the
you
thing is,
you're exactly
yeah,
thinking what I'm thinking.
and I was telling them, well, if you're waiting for a script that is supposedly a divine script that coming from up in the sky to tell you how to be moral, then we have an issue here. You know, it's or you know, because and he said like, how do you get it? And I said it's very easy. You know, there is something built in that tells me like, okay, I don't want to be beaten, so I shouldn't be beating others. There is something inside me that say, okay, I don't want to
You're
be
just describing the golden rule.
exactly, which
When
is
you said that, were they aware of the golden rule or no?
I'm not sure, but like you know, which is do to others what you wish to, you know. But basically, it's like okay, I'm treating others. I try as much as possible. I'm treating others the way I would like to be treated.
And more generally, it's putting yourself in their shoes to try to see how things would work.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then the thing is like they have even this disgusting questions, which is like, oh my god, it's
Yeah.
like, well, if you're not a believer, what stops you of sleeping with your mother?
You actually got that question?
And I'm like, and that's when I'm saying it's like, okay, if the only thing that stops you from raping your mother is a Quran,
Oh shit.
you need therapy.
So I was surprised when I saw that question.
Yeah,
Um I never met anyone that said that question to me, but I saw it in a Facebook group
yeah,
in Arabic. Okay, so
yeah,
it's Arabic speakers that are seeing this from those countries, not from where I'm from. And yeah, that's the standard question. They'll jump in. What's stopping you guys from fucking your mother? And then they just basically bounce as soon as they get some answers. And I want to give our answers, okay? So my buddy Zorro says, well, you know how you get disgusted, the idea of eating a roach? He says, like that. That's what's stopping me from fucking my mother.
Yeah.
That's one thing. Here's my reply to them.
Yeah. No, it's true. And no, for me, my reply, as I said earlier, it's just like, basically, it's like, honestly, and I said, if only, if there is only, if Quran or Islam or religion in particular is the only thing that is stopping you from thinking of your sister or your mother in a sexual way, then you need serious therapy. You know, it's like saying, okay,
they really believe in therapy?
It's the only thing that is stopping me of having sex with animals. You know,
I mean, they could use the same argument, right? They with you know, what's stopping you from fucking a cow?
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I'm like,
did they ever try that on you?
Oh, no. Again, you know, I get all sorts of
you do get those versions.
Weird questions. And again, you know, like
you say, I've never found myself wanting to fuck a cow, so I don't feel like I need to stop myself from doing it.
Yes.
Actually, Ricky Gervais said a great thing in the Afterlife show. There's this believer who asked him something like, what was it? What's stopping you from raping and killing? Or what's stopping you from raping and killing all you want?
Yeah.
He goes, I do rape and kill all I want. She said, what? And he said, I rape and kill all I want, which is none.
Yeah.
So I don't do any of it.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's like they get all these questions that actually is making me scared of these people in a way, thinking, oh my gosh, that the only thing that is stopping them of killing, raping, torturing is not their humanity, but rather a script or an ideology. And that's quite dangerous in a way. And actually, that's why all these, I would say, extreme groups like Al Qaeda or ISIS, that's how they work on these inner feelings by saying, "Oh, it's okay, you know, these people, whether Christians or even Muslims, but who are Muslims who are different, you can do to them whatever you want because they are not, you know, they are not equal. So we can, you know, you can basically rape them, torture them, kill them."
Well,
so
here's part of the problem.
Yeah.
So suppose, you know, Islam does, let's say, effectively lay out of some good rules for people to follow, and suppose people do follow them.
Yeah.
The problem with that is, even if that worked on its own, which it doesn't, by the way, people do go against those things anyway. What about all the things that are bad to do that weren't spelled out by the religion? Well, now you got to use your own brain to figure out what's good and what's bad. And if you're to ask a Muslim, you know, how are you making those decisions? I don't know what they would say, but I think they would say they have to think about it. Okay. And then, so if they are going to ask us, how do we decide moral issues? Well, same thing. We think about it the same way you have to.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I got to try this out on a Muslim.
No, it's quite alarming when you hear these questions. Actually, it's quite alarming. On, okay, this person, I'm not sure I want to, you know, I want to be near that person, you know, who think or who believes that, you know, that the only thing that is stopping him of killing others or torturing or raping is an ideology.
Well, here's the
Right.
thing: it's not true. The person that says that, it's not true. They have like a conscience that tells them what to do. Okay, and yeah, maybe it's a little bit informed by Islam, but
Yeah.
mostly it's autonomous from Islam.
Yeah.
For
And
most
that's
people.
and that's what, like, or also the other thing is, the other silly questions that I get is like, so what do you believe in? And I said, why do I have to believe in some sort of supernatural power up there somewhere that created this world, and that source that I need to take from that source an ideology or way of life, or and I said, can't we just live the moment? And I totally get it. I understand. I have these questions and doubts before, where what happens after death? After we die, where do we go? Is there a soul? And that's why I kind of consider myself more on the agnostic side, because I don't know. And right now, I'm almost 50. I'm kind of, do I really care? I don't know. I'm not saying that I'm not intrigued. I still, would love to know, but we don't know all the answers. Not even religion. Like, of course, religion is giving answers like there is heaven and hell. If you do good things, you go to heaven. If you're evil, you go to hell. All of that,
The
I
system
know.
of justice.
Yes, but also it doesn't give a concrete answer, because no one, not even Muhammad himself, died and came back and tell us what happened. Now, of course, there are all sorts of ideologies that believe in different things, like Druze, they believe in reincarnation. Hinduism, they believe in your soul is going into different parts, or and we don't know. We don't know. Even the most religious person, they cannot by any way prove anything of what they believe in. So they came back to a question, is like, how do you know? And I said, well, that's the thing, I don't know. And that's why I don't act upon that I know the truth. No one knows the truth. No one knows, no one has the full picture. There is always a small piece of the puzzle is not there. So what I know for certain is I am here, I am living, I'm dealing with people around me, I'm dealing with things around me, and I take that as it is. Do I have concerns about after I die? Yes, I would love to know, but it's out of curiosity. It's not about, oh, will I go to heaven or hell? No, it's about what comes next. Is there anything? And it reminds me, actually, a few years ago I saw this Clint Eastwood movie. It's called Hereafter, and I recommend you and whoever is listening to watch the movie. And it's talking about, it talks about the, after death, what happens, where do we go, and it talks about it in a very nice way. It's very, religion is not even mentioned in the movie, but it's talking about it from personal experience, how people experience near death, and which is true. I met a lot of, including my late mother, when she went in a coma, and she came back and she talked about her experience. And then if you go into the internet and type in near death experience testimonies, and you see a lot of resemblance, whether you are Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Jews, and that was actually a proof for me that religion is ridiculous, because when you look at religions, different religions, they all have different interpretations of death, where in fact when you read about the near-death experience of all people, of all races, all religions, it's quite the same. So it doesn't resemble, it doesn't, reflect what X religion is talking about. So again, would it be, is there, yeah, hi Anna, is there life after death? I don't know. I'm
So
intrigued.
here's how I reply to people when they say, you mentioned about your beliefs. The way I'm replying to it, usually when they come at me with something like, you don't have any beliefs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I reply, this is the way I reply. I have lots of beliefs. And actually, my guess is I have more beliefs than you do. I'm speaking to believers here.
Yeah.
My beliefs take a different form than theirs does, in the way that I hold them and adopt them in the first place. And in another way, I'm fine with switching out any of my beliefs when I find out they're wrong and replace it with another one. Where with them, they're not fine with that.
Yeah.
That would disrupt their worldview a lot.
Yeah.
If they found out one of their beliefs is wrong, and they have to update it, it would crumble their system. Where from the way my beliefs are, any one of them can be swapped out, and we do that all the time. Just,
yeah.
I'm saying this very broadly. My principles are beliefs. Everything I know about physics and chemistry and biology, those are beliefs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're ready to update those all the time.
Yeah. And it's the same thing, like, I always say, I know it sounds a cliche, but it's true. Like, I believe in humanity. We're all human. I mean, I am a human. Everybody, I know is a human, like it's
So what if they met aliens? What if aliens came over here? How would you treat them? Would you,
I don't know.
Would you beat them up because they're not human, or what?
I would like to find out, like, if, let's say, I don't know, if one day aliens land on Earth, and I would like to know them. I mean,
you want to be friends, right?
I mean, yeah, I would like to know.
You don't want to do war with them, do you? I think
no,
they would
no,
kick our ass, by the way.
not at all. I would
like,
like,
doing that.
No, it's true. Like, I would love to meet them and know them, and ask them. I will have probably a million questions to ask.
Oh my God. I would say, take me with you, please. Take me with
you. Exactly. Like, it would be something like, take me with you. Let me see.
Sometimes I make a joke. I'll pray to God, but not really God. I'm praying to aliens to, because maybe they can hear us.
Yeah.
Right? They have really advanced technology. The aliens can hear us. I pray to aliens, please come get me.
And actually, to be quite honest and to be fair, like, I had this discussion also with believers. And I said, I do believe, and again, this is a belief because I cannot prove it, but my logic is telling me there is a life somewhere, because, this is my belief. It's like, if Earth is the only life among those galaxies and planets and the space, then it's a waste of space, I would say.
Let's give people a better idea of how many. So just in our galaxy, there's hundreds of billions of stars, like our solar system.
Yeah.
And then there's hundreds of billions of galaxies like our own.
Yes.
So now multiply those two numbers to get how many stars there are.
Yeah. So I would say,
I don't even know that number. That's 10,000 billion.
You're talking about trillions or something. So
it's way bigger, yeah. But
yeah. So that's why I think, I do believe that there is some sort of a life. Maybe they are more advanced or less advanced. I don't know, but I do believe there is something.
Well, if they came over here, we will be sure they are more advanced.
Yes, if they manage, exactly. Yes. If they manage to come
and to
Earth,
give people an idea, they could easily be a million or even a billion years older than us. We're if we calculate like when our Earth or when humans evolved in the span of what was possible, it could have happened a billion years earlier somewhere else in the universe.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. It's quite interesting, and that's why I would say again, I'm not being condescending towards believers, but I think as an agnostic or atheist, you have the liberty to just wander around and think and believe in whatever you feel like, because I don't have any restrictions. I don't have any, limitations. I am just free to think
Well,
and
I
wonder.
limit myself to something. I'm guessing you do too. If I see a contradiction, I'm not going to believe that.
Yeah.
Although I do that freely, I freely limit myself to only things that make sense.
Okay.
Anna asks, why would you say atheism is so rejected in religious communities? Is it fear of the difference? Well, I think.
Sorry, go ahead.
I think it's kind of the main topic of what we're saying here, which is they have a lot of misunderstandings about atheism, and those things they understand. If those things were true, I would hate it too. I wouldn't want to be an atheist if those things were true. They say there's nothing stopping us from fucking our mothers. If I really believed that to become an atheist means I'm gonna want to fuck my mother in the first place, oh yeah, I would stay a Muslim or a Christian or whatever. Yeah, that I think that's a big thing that holds them in.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's not only, yes, Anna, I think there is an element of the fear of different, and it's they work on this human nature where like racism, for example, or discrimination, the root cause of it is ignorance. Ignorance means, I don't know these people, or different nationality, or different people who speaks different language, so it's easier for me to make a judgment on them and to look at them in a different way. Now, with atheism, it's the same thing. For me, it's two things. There are fear of difference, but also the fear that atheism will debunk what they believe in. And I know it's not easy, especially for believers who denounce religion. If you interview any of the ex-Muslim or ex-Christian or ex-religious, you would see how hard it's such a difficult journey to denounce a religion, because it's not a one-day thing. It takes years to denounce a religion. The more you have questions and no answer or logical answer from religions, that's when you are slowly getting further away from religion, and it's not easy to, as one friend of mine told me once, is that it's not easy that after all these years that you've spent in believing that this ideology is the right thing for you, and then all of a sudden you realize that actually no, it's not. It's exactly like he gave an example of how when you love someone so deeply and then you marry them, and years later you discover that, oh my gosh, it's not the right person, yet the divorce process can take maybe years, because you're maybe, no, I'll try to find a way to work it out. you try as much as possible to stick to
I'll
that.
change for her. I'll change
Yeah.
myself for her. And they do that
Yes.
about God, right? I'll change
Yes.
myself for God.
Yes, exactly. And then you try and you try and you try and then at the end you realize, okay, no, I have to get a divorce. I have to get out of this. But it's not easy. And that's a marriage, so you can imagine an ideology that here that you think this is part of who I am, of my identity, and then it's not easy. So a lot of people, they think that they say, oh, it's easy for you to become an atheist. No, it isn't. No, it isn't, because you're not only that you are fighting the society, but you're fighting yourself, because all these years you've been believing, or
I don't even know why it would be a
believing.
criticism. I don't even know why it would be a criticism to say it's easy to be an atheist. Suppose it is. So what? It doesn't mean anything bad about it.
No.
In some ways it is easier, but no, in some ways it's harder, depending on where you are and what your family dynamics are.
Yeah.
No,
again, and of course, if you are living in, like, let's say if I'm living in Sweden, it's much easier to become an atheist than when you are living in the Middle East, or living in Saudi Arabia, or or Sudan, or Egypt, or Afghanistan, which is even worse. So of course, it's because there it's very indoctrinate. Religion is in everywhere. Where if you are in, I don't know, Sweden or Norway, where religion is not really part of the daily life, then probably the pressure is way less than living in a religious society.
Yeah. So you want to get into I did an ex-Muslim subreddit post asking people to for us to explain to Muslims about the bad ideas they have about atheism. Let me put it on the screen. Let's see. Was it more like this? Yeah. Okay. So I'm just asking people to give their examples and to tell us what's wrong with those wrong ideas. So here's the first one from Asimorph. This person talks a lot in this subreddit. Look at how much comment karma. So here's the first one they addressed. So Muslims think atheism means something can come from nothing. This is such a vague thing to say in the first place. They mean something very specific. They mean like how the universe came about or whatever. And so this person is saying this is wrong. Atheism is about non-belief in God. In regards to the universe could have always existed. That's not something from nothing. And here's the point. This saying is like trying to incorporate something about a theory that we call the Big Bang, which is a consequence of Einstein's general relativity. And here's the point. Atheism existed as a thing long before these theories about physics. We had atheists before we had Muslims. Okay? Back then there was no theory about Big Bang or about something coming from nothing. You know what I mean? It's quite possible, or how do I say this? It's compatible to both have the belief that there's no God and have the belief that everything existed forever.
And not only that, Rami, but sometimes I do believe that religious people, whether Muslims or Christians, they contradict themselves by saying, because they say, this is an interesting point that says, like, you do believe that who created Earth? You atheist, you believe that it came from nothing. And I was like, okay. I said, if you do believe that everything was created, so how come God was not created? And they would never give an answer to it. It's like, no, he's been there forever. And I said, well, yeah, so is the solar system. I don't know. Or so is the universe. So how come God was there forever, but
Well, the way
not the
they say it,
universe?
let me try to argue what they say, because I've been in that discussion with them too. And what they say is, no, there was a thing that was the cause of everything else. That thing that was the cause is God. Everything else is the universe. That's why you can't ask the question, what made that first thing? And that's fine, whatever. But what it seems to me is, a lot of times when people talk about God that way, it's almost like they could just say, okay, God is the universe then. What's the difference?
Yeah.
And then it's just back to saying it's just the universe. You know, it's just the universe. There's no God. Or anyway, a lot of times when people use the word God, they don't even mean universe. They mean truth.
Yeah.
So it's like if they admit there's truth, then in their mind that means there's God. And for atheists, yeah, we admit there's truth and no God involved. But what theists think is, if I think there is truth, then they see me. They've actually said this. I'm a confused person, and they say I'm one step to being a Christian. You know, but that's because I'm speaking to a Christian. If I'm speaking to a Muslim, they would say I'm one step to being a Muslim.
Oh, okay.
So here's another one. Atheism means there's no value in anything. Now, I don't even know why people would say this.
Yeah. Again, it's like what we talked about earlier. It's like the value in anything, basically, by saying sorry. It's like saying, like, yeah, it's like how would you believe in good and bad, or so again, it's by being a human, you can differentiate by good deeds from bad deeds,
Well, this is a goofy concept, or a complaint, because even the word value is referring to the concept of a human being valuing something. Okay, so just because I don't believe in God doesn't mean I stopped valuing things.
Yes.
It doesn't make any sense. The question doesn't make any sense. It's almost like they're saying, well, you're not allowed to value something unless you can back it up with a infallible God that says you're allowed to.
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't make any. And I guess if you could put I noticed the word purpose is here too. So they probably also say atheism means there's no purpose, or there's no purpose in life, or no purpose for us.
Yes.
And that's goofy. What they really mean is there's no purpose being told to me by some exterior source, God, but I do have a purpose. I've chosen it. It's the shit I do, the shit I want to do. That's my purpose, and I can change it. It's not written in some book 2,000 years ago.
Yeah.
That's what this organization is that we have here. It has a purpose. We're trying to decriminalize apostasy worldwide. That's a purpose. Or at least I am an atheist.
Yeah.
And here is agnostic.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like one of the comments here by Jack saying, I make my own values. I don't have to bluster them with God, which is somehow true. It's sort of like you can make up your mind about things. You don't need a reference. It's like that's the problem in it's like Muslims or Christians, they would say, oh well, wait, let me go back to that book and then I can make up my mind, and it's like, I don't know, seeing somebody torturing someone. Why do I need a book to tell me what to feel or what to think about that action? I would immediately say that this is wrong, even if that person is evil. Like, even if, I don't know, you're in a war and you capture the enemy. Yes, you have all the right to put them in trial, but you don't have the right to torture them. and that's the problem with
Well,
for
what they would say to us is, what is it? You're an atheist. You can't have morals, so you can't even have morals against torture.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't agree
Yeah.
with that. We do have morals. Morals are just, concepts, principles we have. We can have principles that say or imply that torture is wrong.
Yeah.
I'm against all
Yeah.
punishment, by the way. Punishment is evil. Punishment does not serve the purpose that people think it does.
No.
It actually sabotages its own purpose. I do think we should have jail and prison, but that should be for reform. It should be for defense of society. It should not be for revenge or pain.
Yeah.
Anyway, and that's my morals. I'm an atheist. So come on, guys, stop saying atheists don't have morals or can't have morals or some shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Because again, these morals that I have, they come from within. I wasn't taught to feel compassionate for, I don't know, a hungry child. I don't need religion to tell me that I have to feel empathy with, I don't know, a hungry child or a homeless person or somebody, is sad for losing their beloved ones. I don't need a book to tell me how I should feel about this. I already can feel it, and yeah, for me that's the main problem. Well, with
Look here,
with
man.
religious people.
Look here, man. I replied to this guy. I forgot I did this.
Yeah.
Don't forget, and I put in quotes what Muslims say about us. Atheism implies there's nothing stopping atheists from fucking their mothers. So it said so much.
I know, and again, it's alarming, to be quite honest, when somebody says that. Like, oh my God, like.
By the way, I gotta ask you, doesn't that mean it's like somebody who's kind of new to this, or you think somebody's been thinking of this for 10 years and they're still thinking it?
I don't know. It makes me, and that's what I told this guy when I was asked by him. When he asked me this question, and I said, "You're making me think that you are actually deep down want to be an incest, to act in an incestuous way, and the only thing
Maybe
that's
they heard it
stopping
5 minutes
you
ago
is."
in the mosque, and it's an argument they have ready and they want to use on people.
Yeah.
That's my
Yeah.
guess. I don't think they really want to fuck their mothers.
No. Some of them they don't, but like they are, sort of like they have this question. They've been taught these questions by religious people, saying, if atheists, if they don't believe in something, then what stops them?
Wyatt Gillard says labeling atheism as a religion or belief system or worldview, like the way these Muslims are doing,
Yeah.
it's like saying not playing basketball is a type of sport.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a sport.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. No, it's as and that's what I told religious people, and I said, atheism is not it's not a belief system. It's not like we have set of rules. It's basically, not believing in what you believe, because you say there is a God, and this is the Quran or the Bible is the word of God. And for me, as we say in Arabic, al-bayyina ala man idda'a. So basically, you claim this, you prove it. I don't need to prove the contrary. As an atheist, it's not my job to prove there is no God. It's your job to prove that there is a God, because it's you who claim, not me. I didn't claim that there is no God. Atheism is not about claiming there is no God. Atheism is about not believing in your claim.
You know how I would say it? I would say it this way. For somebody to tell me to believe in God, what I would say is, how about this? Tell me what problem this idea is solving. Show me that it actually solves it, and then I will believe.
Yeah.
But that puts a lot of work on them to
Yeah.
do what you just said, which is to prove it.
Yeah.
And yeah, they I don't know, no one's ever done it to me or for me or whatever. Okay, here's one. This is a quote again. This is what Muslims say. Atheism means that someone also doesn't believe in ghosts. That's interesting. Yeah. Atheists can believe in all sorts of nonsense that lots of other atheists would think is nonsense, rightly.
Yeah. Yeah. Because again, we are different, let's say I sometimes I do believe that maybe there is something after death, maybe we go somewhere after we die, and some atheists who say no, we just dissolve and decompose in the ground. So again, there are all sorts of atheists. It's not one recipe of atheism. It's hundreds
There's as many kinds of atheists as there are people who are atheists.
Yeah.
I say the same thing about Islam and Christianity and everything else too, though. There are as many kinds of Muslims as there are Muslims who have ever lived. Meaning each one is his own type. Let's see. Here's one. I made this one.
Yeah.
Muslims and Christians and most religious people say that if you're going to be an atheist, you're also losing your spirituality.
No, which is total nonsense.
I never really knew what spirituality was.
Yeah.
Even when I was a Muslim, and then also afterwards. But recently, I've been learning what it is and what people say it is. And I did a podcast with a philosopher and spiritual director, and happens to be an atheist, who argues for, she educates people on spiritual tools or spirituality without faith, without religion, without dogma, without God.
Yeah. I consider myself a spiritual person. I do believe in spirituality. I do, I look at it in that way. If there is physique, then there is the metaphysique. That's how I believe. And what is metaphysique? I have no idea. It could be, I don't know, if there is a soul, or life after death, or the connection, the spiritual connection with others, or when you see things, sometimes, I don't know, people, and it happened to me, like I would dream of something and then a couple of months it will happen, the dream that I dreamt, and you think, is there a logical explanation? I have no idea. Maybe in the future we would, but so far I would, look at it from a spiritual point of view. So again, you can be an atheist and spiritual, because spirituality is not necessarily connected to religion. Spirituality is way older than any religion there.
Yeah, religions co-opted spirituality.
Yeah.
Just like they co-opted morality. Morality existed before religion.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Let's see. There's a couple other things to mention. One of the reasons theists don't like atheism is they think that to be an atheist means to, not have a... See, the way I say it is they think we don't have morality. The way they say it about us is your morality is subjective, or to you, morality is subjective. Yeah. Which to them means like you have no way of knowing true from false.
Yeah.
I believe morality is objective, just like any other field of knowledge we have. And by objective, I mean we can find out if one idea is better than another one. We can find out slavery is wrong compared to not slavery, freedom.
Yeah.
That's something we can know. Now, I'm not infallible. I don't know it perfectly. I'm not saying I necessarily know how to perfectly do freedom, by the way, but I know that our systems we got today is better than slavery.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about. That's how dead we are. Something about being atheists.
What is the? I didn't understand.
I don't know. I don't know.
What is
I don't
like
know.
so dead is atheism to
You
the
want to read it?
spirit?
Okay. So Wesley Curry II says, "So dead is atheism to the spirit that when real bread is placed before you by an angel of Jesus, you lie, deny, and say it did not happen." I don't know what's the point of telling us these things.
I don't know. Like I didn't understand
And
what
I
does it
don't
mean?
know what it is either. And that is how dead you are. 2 months ago, real bread was given to you all by Jesus. I don't know. Does anyone else here can explain? Maybe.
Yeah, I think like if you Wesley, can you explain a little bit, because I don't understand what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I don't know, but again, yeah. I'm sorry.
Here's another one.
Yeah,
There's this concept that goes by the name materialism,
yeah.
and that's one of the things that Muslims and other religionists have a beef with atheism. They think atheism implies materialism, and what they think
Yeah.
materialism is I went into depth with this with someone, and it came to the same thing. It's materialism said as a philosophy. It says we can explain everything in the world in terms of the smallest things like atoms.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't believe that. I'm an atheist. I think that's nonsense. So here's the point. For a Muslim or a Christian who's against atheism because of materialism, hey, it's okay. Materialism is nonsense. I'm here an atheist who doesn't believe in materialism, so it's okay. Hopefully that made sense.
Yeah, and here Anna is saying, would you say that there is an idea that atheism is a Western thing? Actually, a lot of people in the Middle East, they do believe that atheism is a Western thing, which is not true. Atheism has been there forever in the Middle East. There are even documented that there are people who refused and debunked religion and refused Christianity or Islam later on. So atheism is not connected to a geographic location. It's basically
Well, we're all
not
born
believing
atheists.
in
If we want to get
ideology.
technical, everyone is born an atheist. Okay.
Yes,
So atheists are everywhere.
yes, yes.
We do get indoctrinated into believing into a God. Here, that's something that's interesting too. Like, well, I guess there are people born atheists, live atheists as atheists, raised as atheists, and then later adopt belief in a God, right? I'm sure that exists. I don't think there's many of those.
Okay. I think here in the comment section, Wesley.
He said some more, but it's not really explaining; it's giving more claims.
No, I think I don't know, Wesley. Are you a believer? It looks like you are a believer, so it would be interesting to know more of what you are talking about, because at the end you say, "I shall be eating that real bread from Jesus." While all those branded with the barcode, whom shamelessly laugh today, they shall find no rest and starve.
Did God upgrade his system? He's got barcodes now?
I don't know. Yeah, exactly. Like
He's upgrading his system. He's got barcodes now.
I don't know. Like for a minute, I thought this is from the Bible, but I don't know.
Oh shit! Pretending you do not know who I am was silly you.
I'm not pretending. I just don't know.
Is it me or you? Is it both of us pretending?
I don't know. I
Maybe he's talking
really,
about me.
maybe, I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
did mention 2 months ago, real bread was given to you. Maybe 2 months ago, he did something. He gave me some bread. And what? Did I not eat it? I threw it away or something?
I don't
Maybe
know.
it was
So I
stale
guess
bread.
it's,
I don't eat all the bread I'm presented with. Some of
yeah.
it's stale, right? It's got to be fresh.
Yeah,
Out of
exactly.
oven. Okay, good for you. Enjoy pretending you have a full stomach with your branded barcode Omni mark while you starve. I don't know. I just ate. By the way, I am stuffed. I think I ate
Yeah.
too much.
I don't know. I mean, is he?
Anna's asking, will you do a stream on religious belief and artificial intelligence? It would be so cool. Thanks for the answers, by the way. And yeah, I guess I would, and I could see many angles already. I'm thinking
Yeah.
of one right now, but I wonder what angle you're thinking of, Anna. The angle I'm thinking of is, I know that Muslims come into the ex-Muslim subreddit and they use ChatGPT to argue their beliefs. Okay, so that's one way we could talk about it. But
Yeah.
Anna, what were you thinking?
It would be quite interesting also to have Usama next time if we are going to talk about this, religious belief and artificial intelligence. I think Usama would be, being specialized in physics. I think it would be quite interesting to see.
You know, Sam and I had some discussion about AI, and it's on our channel. We did it during our meetings, but it was so good I published them as like their own episodes. So something like an hour or hour and a half where we talked about AI and what it is, but we didn't connect it to any religious stuff.
No, no, no. And it's not, I mean, you know, also one of the things that I hear all the time from religious people is that they think that atheists are there to prove that there is no that there is no religion, and I'm like saying, I don't care about your belief. Kind of like, I'm living my life. I'm not going to spend energy on debunking what what you believe in. And basically, I just simply don't believe in what you believe in, and I'm moving on with my life. Now, the only time that I'm, stopping you as a religious person is when you are trying to impose this on me, and I'm like, hold it. If you want me to believe in what you believe in, then you have to prove it, and then we can talk. But as long as you cannot prove this, and as long as there are nonsense ideas inside your religion, then it's.
You remind me of something that happens in the ex-Muslim subreddit. Muslims will come in and say, prove to me Islam is not the truth. And this one of the standard replies is the one you just gave, which is, why should we do that? We're not interested in that. I don't care. I don't care
Exactly.
to prove anything to you.
Exactly. And that's what I said, like atheism is not trying to prove that there is no God. Atheism is just simply doubting and rejecting the idea that there is a God.
It's like
which
they're
is
trying to do
two different things. Yeah.
It's like they're trying to do a contest.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like,
I don't know why they think we would care about this contest.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then you get people that say, I had this on the live stream last week, that we're scared. That's the reason we're not like doing the contest. We're scared. So I want to ask myself, scared of what? What are they thinking?
Yeah.
I know what they're talking about. They're projecting how they think on us. They are scared of finding out they're wrong, because it would disrupt their whole worldview, their whole everything about them, their identity and everything. For me, if I find out I'm wrong about something, I will be happy about that, because now I can be on the right side of the truth. So I'm not scared. But the contest wouldn't be interesting.
No.
Like I don't, and it's very easy to do anyway, to prove. You want to hear some more?
I'm reading like.
Yeah, I'll do it for everyone. 10 world leaders shall meet to find out how to solve the problem put upon the economy with no Washington, D.C. mailing out checks, with no New York City managing businesses. This guy must be in America somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means, by the way. Satan, who speaks in your heads, shall be cast to the earth that day by Jesus, and he shall be secretly in the meeting with the 10 world leaders. This must be a secret meeting.
Yes.
Satan shall convince that Emirate Arab oil banks to do something they never did before, to release money, armed with that money. Okay, I'm not so sure. Can you explain some of this stuff instead of more?
It's like
more making claims without explanations.
It's like, I'm sorry, Wesley. It's either you are on something, I don't know, or you're trying to express something that I'm not sure what it is. Overtake.
Somebody wants to join the call. Maybe we could do one quick thing.
Yeah.
And then hopefully it's hopefully we get a good scenario here.
Yes. That'd be great.
It might be fun. It might be it might be. I'm trying to take these, I'm trying to take whatever we get and have fun with it. All right. Well, air review. If you want to join, please go ahead. Oh, did he join? No. So he hasn't joined yet. I don't really have more to say.
Yeah.
This was kind of a simple topic. We've done over an hour. That's probably good enough. Maybe we could do some hold on. Anna says maybe it's also because atheism is more tiring to the mind in a morality area. It makes you doubt and ask more.
Yes, I totally agree with Anna.
I can see the other way being tiring, though.
Yes,
because it's going against your conscience.
Yeah,
so it's creating conflicts that are difficult to deal with. Do you have conflicts with atheism? Sure, but there are things that are easier to deal with. I think. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on where you are. Let's go ahead. We have our caller. Let's go ahead and put him on.
Yeah.
Hello, Anam.
Hello, salam. If you say that, yeah.
Alaikum salam. Sure, we can say that.
Okay, well, peace be with you. That's a nice wishing either way. Yes. No, I usually join Christian podcasts because they have a lot to say on Islam, but I do think this is a really important. Actually, all the religions should be scared of atheism because I think especially in the modern world, like I'll say this, for example, the Christians, right, when they had their Reformation, the war in Germany, the 30-year war, it was the most destructive conflict in European history. Like, I think 20% of Germany died in that post Luther's Reformation. So Islam itself, we have this conflict between Sunni, Shia, and then when you have the fundamentalists blowing up the Sufi shrines, it becomes this very destructive thing that people get sick of. So I think Muslims should understand what atheism is, and I like your title of helping them understand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what is your stand on this?
So
I'm sorry, what's your name again?
Anam, A-N-A-M.
Oh, Anna. Oh, okay.
Nice to meet you.
Anam.
Yeah. Anam. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here, it shows up that way.
My stance is, I think, look, we're in the modern world, and I see my own people, 1 billion Muslims, 1.5 billion Muslims struggle to incorporate into the modern world. They struggle with science. They struggle with things like freedom of religion, freedom of speech. And I want us to be better at this. I don't want us to have Well, out of the 24 countries that have apostasy laws on the book, 23 of them are Muslim countries. That's a very unfortunate fact. You know, like, I mean, as a modern person, I just feel like, you know, well, anyway, I'll pause there.
Yeah. So, well, the topic of today was the like standard misunderstandings that Muslims have about atheism, and we talked for over an hour. We said a lot of things. I'm sure there's more we missed. You know.
And you said there was a Reddit channel involved too. You were reading the comments.
There was a Reddit post that I started to gather more information like that, and it all came down to the same kind of things. There was only a few things, you know, because there's like big general categories, like that we don't have morality, or our morality is subjective instead of objective, or we don't have any beliefs, or we can't have spirituality, or we have to be materialists.
Yeah.
We can't have value. We can't have purpose.
You can't have morality.
Yeah. I mentioned that one already. Yeah. Two versions of that, two flavors. You can't have morality, or your morality is subjective, which is necessarily worse.
Which is the same thing, right? It's like, you know,
which is
like,
the same thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. You know, I think, you know, that one is a little bit funny because I really, you know, utilitarianism is the philosophy that, you know, morality is the most good to the most people. And so, you know, I do feel that it's unfair to tell an atheist you can't have morality because, you know, I mean, morality is kind of a simple thing, right? Don't hurt anyone, you know, don't kill anyone, don't steal.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Just as we said earlier, basically morality, if I want to put it in one sentence, is basically treat people like you want to be treated. Full stop. You know, it's as simple as that. You know, if I don't want people to lie to me, I shouldn't be lying. If I want people to be kind to me, I should be kind to people as well. You know, it's as simple
kind of
as
basic logic. We, you know, as a parent, we teach our kids this thing, the thing you just said, as early as we can go. Like as soon as they can understand it, 2 or 3 years old. How would you feel if someone else did it to you?
Yes. Yeah.
It's a very basic thing. But it can, you know, it's another way of trying to, not another way. It's a way of trying to get someone to not be a hypocrite. You know.
Yeah.
And it's teaching them logic. It's a type of logic related to human conflicts, human interactions. And you know, it has a name, the Golden Rule.
Yes.
And it's weird for Muslims to say we don't have morality.
Yeah.
So let me play devil quick in the conversation we're having. Let me play a quick advocate though, because I'm a devil's advocate, or in Allah's advocate here, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. That's good.
So
That's
you know,
good.
so I think Muhammad Hijab and the Speaker's Corner debates, they tell an atheist, you know, what's your objection to incest then, right? If you're saying just don't hurt anybody, you can let somebody marry their brother and sister. And I mean, I'll give my answer to that. I think that's such a silly argument because it's like that's such a minute fraction of a, you know, of a thing that's going to happen. It's not, you know, it's not really like I'm on my daily basis. I've never met anyone who has this problem.
Well, so, in today's world, yes, but there were times in history, and actually it happens a lot today, but it happens in the Muslim world mostly. So that's weird.
But not only that, I mean, it was part of. I mean, it was socially acceptable back in, you know, in Greece, in Egypt, in ancient Egypt, in ancient Iraq.
Before we learned about genetics, yes,
exactly.
Yes, exactly. It was, and it was a tribal thing. It was the European royalty who was like, well, they were racist, right? Our blood is what makes us strong or good leaders. So we got to keep it in the family, keep our blood in the family. Don't mix with far away, which is the opposite for genetics. Like the most beautiful people, the most healthy people are two people that married from the furthest human bloodlines.
Yeah, diversity is the whole name of the game for sexual reproduction, right? Like You want to have the like for example in animals, cheetahs, they have a very small population. It's only like descended from 10,000 or a couple of hundred cheetahs from 10,000 years ago. Because they have the same genetics, one single virus could wipe out the entire species because it's a small breeding pool. So you're right. So what would you say then? So your thing would be, we now understand as modern people that it really messes up your genetics to keep marrying.
Well, that's only one part. I think you can get there without genetics knowledge also. Well, for one thing, the way by the way, we talked about this earlier, and the way I reply to those people is, so when they say to us, what's stopping you from fucking your mother? I try to analyze it and say, so let me see if I understand. You want to fuck your mother, step one. Step two, you want a way to stop yourself. For one thing, that's already a problem that you want to do it. Like I don't know, maybe it's a mind fuck to even imagine. What if I was a person that did want that? That's hard to imagine. I happen to not be somebody like that.
Yeah.
That's
what I said earlier, guys. Is basically is like, if the only thing that is stopping you from lusting your mother or sister is the Quran or Bible, then we have a serious problem here.
Yeah, well, and one problem is, and I said this earlier, I wish I maybe shouldn't repeat myself, but Islam has a set of rules. Suppose all those rules are good, and suppose somehow that Muslims actually follow those rules, and so it's covering a lot of situations that people get into, and it's handling those well. Well, there's a ton of things that we get into that's not outlined in the Quran or Hadith. So then I should ask the Muslim, how do you deal with those things that are not spelled out? I think they say something like, you got to go ask your imam or something. Well, I think some of them would admit you have to think for yourself. Nobody's there to, you can't ask an imam once a week for all the decisions you're making that whole week. It doesn't work. You have to think for yourself. If they're willing to admit that for some things they have to think for themselves, now all I got to do is say, look, you asked me earlier, how do I deal with my moral issues? How do I decide things the same way you do for those things? I don't know. I just made that up. I don't know if it'll work on any Muslims.
No, I agree. I think, I mean, I would, not to, you guys have been generous to me as hosts, but I think Islam actually has this, like, use your brain to, reason things out intelligently. I think that is an Islamic value.
I'm not quite sure.
As opposed, okay, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I mean, a lot of Muslims, they claim that, like, the first word that came into Quran was Iqra, and Islam is encouraging people to research and reason, and reason, which is not true. In theory, they say that, but in reality, it's not, because if you look at the history of Muslims, all the scholars, that it's funny that now they pretend like Muslims, they say, yes, we have great scholars and Muslim scholars, but actually if you read into their biography, all of them, or most of them, if not all, were persecuted, killed, like Ibn Rushd or Ibn Sina, and but of course they don't mention this now. But it's the same thing now.
There is a verse in the Quran. There is a verse in the Quran that says that you have to think for yourself. I don't know how it says it. Maybe you could tell us. Do you know how it says it?
I'm thinking there's one that says, "Oh my," the Andalusian Sheikh Ibn Arabi. He writes a commentary. The only thing the Quran ever says that we're supposed to ask for is, "Oh my Lord, increase me in knowledge." It never does it say, give me money, give me heaven, give me children. You're only supposed to increase in knowledge. But that's not exactly where you're going. But that's where I would go with that framework.
I think I've heard something more direct that which you have to use your own mind to make decisions.
I
I
think
don't know. I could be, doing that steel manning thing, trying to
yeah.
prove the guy's argument. I don't know.
So, I think something that comes into mind is, Islam frowns upon anybody following the religion of their parents in a way, right? So, in other words, that means you should explore atheism, I feel, because I mean, it condemns the Quraysh for being pagans, and then you worship the gods because your fathers worship the gods. But I feel like if there's this idea in there that any person of age of reason, age 14, should start to explore these ideas and try to because you have to answer for yourself in a way too, why you believe in God or why you don't. Did you want to add? Sorry, I'll pause.
Oh, I was just gonna say, we should probably wrap up here to go, because we have another person that wants to come on. But if you want to say one last thing, go ahead. Did you have something else?
Okay, I'll ask both of you one quick question. I'll jump up. Do you think if you could have I don't want to use the word liberal because it's loaded, right? But if you could have a tolerant version of Islam, pluralistic, do you think that would be an improvement in your point of
Oh yeah, I would be very happy if like Muslims were in general tolerant the way most Christians are today. Now there's a lot of very intolerant Christians today. Even you have some of them in the US. I think we have more of them than everyone else, where they're trying to use the government to control religion, or I'm saying that wrong. They're trying to, unite the government with the religion. They're trying to use government to let them do their religion in a certain way, which means it's like going against the rights of everyone else who's not that religion. And they're not doing it for Islam, they're doing it for Christianity.
Yeah. But I don't see you agreeing, Brother Hani. It reminds me of there's an atheist, Armin Nawabi. He's popular in the Sam Harris kind of circles, Richard Dawkins circles. So he says, for example, when somebody asks him about Christianity Light, he said, I didn't leave one false religion to join another,
Yes.
which is a Christianity Light. So are you of that opinion, Mr. Dweck?
I totally, even though, as you said, I do believe people have the right to believe in what they believe or what they want to believe in. But it always strikes me when I hear of people, leaving Islam, going into Christianity, or vice versa, leaving Christianity to go to Islam. And I'm like, I'm not quite sure what makes you believe that this version of, again, that's my belief, of nonsense is more believable than that nonsense, kind of, which is quite interesting. It's really quite interesting to see people who change, and I'm not talking about the ones who changed their religion because of certain, I know, for example, some Christians, they converted to Islam in order to marry, because as you know, a Muslim woman cannot marry a Christian man. So and I know people who converted to Christianity in order to get asylum in Europe. Put that aside, I still, I met people who changed, converted to Christianity because they believe that it is the true religion, or vice versa, who left Christianity and went into Islam because they believe that this is the right one. So it always strikes me with these kind of people thinking like, how does it work? I don't know. I really don't know how they find it that it's okay to go to that, to leave that ideology in order to get another ideology that it's quite similar in so many ways. It's not like it's completely different. It's not like leaving Islam or leaving Christianity to go to, I don't know, Buddhism, for example. But if you look at Christianity and Islam, yes, there are differences, but it's quite similar. I mean, the core value of it is.
So I don't know that we answered your question, or maybe even like the real meaning behind your question. But you're welcome to come on another time if you want to ask it again a different way. You know, maybe we didn't exactly answer how you wanted.
I enjoyed the conversation. It was very nice meeting you both.
Cool.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you. Nice to meet you. Yeah.
All right, Anna, hopefully you're ready. I'm putting you on.
Yeah.
Maybe I should ask her first. I don't know.
Hello.
Hi, Anna.
Hello.
Do you
Hi,
hear
Anna.
me well?
Yes,
Yes.
we can hear you.
Okay, so
How are
I
you?
would like good, thank you. And you?
Very good, very good.
Nice. So I would like to ask you, like in my opinion, well, I will give you like my general opinion that in the Muslim faith, like in a sense, the Quran is the one that informs the opinion on atheism, don't you think? Like it doesn't speak very well about, you know, this belief in general, the book. So it would be a little bit difficult to change.
Yeah, we are demonized.
Exactly. So especially people who live the faith. So in a sense, it would be contrary to the faith to think different than what the book says. Like in a sense, you would have to do like a block what the book says to have your own opinion about atheism or atheist in general. So it would be like a little bit strange if you really read the book and then you have a different opinion. So that's my point of view in a sense.
I'm not sure I understood, but it's somewhere in what you said. What popped in my head was, and I wanted to say this earlier, that one of the things that's mainly causing theists to not go to atheism is all of the religions hate on us, and they say, you know, bad things about us, and they know it's bad. Like I think a lot of it they know is lying, or at least the people that made the lies initially, and people are, you know, are just fooled into it now. But a lot of it is lies about us, and maybe some of that is some of the stuff we said earlier. Like maybe the first guy that said, "What's stopping you from fucking your mother?" Maybe that guy knew that's a stupid question, it's meaningless, but he knew it would trick some people away from atheism.
Yes, so what I say is that the book tells you to hate on apostates or to hate on non-believing people. And if you are a religious person and really don't want to hate on those people, you have to go the contrary that the book says.
Man, it makes me think of a word in English. In America, we have this word. It said so much. It's a cuss word. Motherfucker. Maybe that's where the concept came from. Somebody a long time ago, maybe a Christian, said to an atheist, "What's stopping you from fucking your mother?"
Yeah.
And now the Christian says, "Motherfucker."
Yeah. I would like to say something that is irrelevant to the discussion, but reading the comments, I just want to say to this guy Wesley, whatever you are on, I would like to know what it is, because obviously you are on something, because I cannot make sense of any of what are you talking about. And
I'm not sure he's on anything, because he was on last week doing the same thing. So if he's on something now, he was on it last week too.
Probably, but I, you know, so I'm like, I don't know what kind of,
No,
you know,
we don't want war. We want peace.
Yeah. But like, you know, it's kind of interesting. I was intrigued just reading his comments and thinking, it's like, what is he on? You know, what is he talking about? You
High
know,
on life. High on
yeah,
life.
yeah.
We can be high on life.
Yeah.
we can just be happy. Anyway,
And Jack
right,
says, I would
Anna.
like some blueberry cream cake. I'm
Well,
not
that's
quite
somebody
sure.
else. That's Jack.
Yeah, I know. Like I'm saying, Jack wants blueberry cream cake. I'm not quite sure you're on the right channel, Jack. You know, it's we're not talking about
Anyway,
food.
sorry, Anna. Did you have another question or something you wanted to say?
And no, I mean, I have questions, but it's not about the topic. So another day better.
Well, this is the last thing we're going to do here. After you, we're going to get off. So go ahead and ask your questions.
Yeah.
Would you say that, but it's very different. So do you think that in like more religious communities and or countries, there would have to be more atheist people to, you know, have like, or atheist ideas to accept atheist people? Like it goes hand in hand to be more secular without knowing to accept atheist or not necessarily.
I'm confused on what you're asking. Hani, did you?
Sorry, I my English is not very
Okay.
good.
Hani,
I
did you
think what,
understand?
yeah, I think you're, well, correct me if I'm wrong, Anna, but I think what you're trying to say is that will we ever see the day in Muslim world where atheists can be accepted? Is that what you're trying to say or to ask?
I mean, yeah, for example.
I do believe, maybe not now, maybe in, I don't know, maybe in 50 or, but I do believe that people evolve. Like if you look at Europe, for instance, 500 years ago,
We were just as bad over there.
non-believers would be killed. You know, apostasy was punishable. Now people criticize the church, criticize Catholicism, criticize
Make
religion.
drawings of Jesus.
Yeah, make fun of Jesus and Mary, and even believers, they laugh at this, you know, like
Yes.
they have, you know,
Yes.
the capacity to laugh about this, where in the Muslim world we are not there yet, because first of all, Christianity is 600 years older, or 650 years older than Islam. So it's going to take some time, but I think it's sooner than we think, especially with you know, social media and internet that speeded up a lot of things. So I guess, I don't know, maybe in 50, 100 years, things could be different in the Middle East and
I have a little bit different opinion. I don't think it's related to how old the two religions are. I think it's more related to what happened to the cultures in that area during the whole time of the religion. So for Christianity in Europe, a few hundred years ago, there was what we call an Enlightenment era.
Mhm.
There was a lot of scientific learning. That's what made a push to separate religion from government.
That's true.
And the same kind of thing needs to happen in the Muslim world or the Arab world or everything.
Yeah.
It needs to happen everywhere in the world.
Yeah. And I think that's what what I was trying to say, that it will happen. It's just gonna take some time, you know, here. But I think it will happen at some point. And there are indicators now that tells me it's gonna happen, you know, especially after what is called the Arab Spring.
That's what I was going to say.
You know, more and more people, like, you know, I remember, let's say 20 years ago, it would be almost impossible to see or find people who discuss religions in public. You know, now you have a lot of groups on internet and you know, podcasts who openly discuss atheism, religions, and criticize religions, whether Christianity or Islam. And I think that's a start, and I think it will increase more and more and more. So
And
yeah.
there's things pushing the other direction, though.
Mhm.
And it's not just like Islamists who are pushing the other direction.
Mhm.
Even Western powers are pushing the other direction. So that
Yeah.
they're not helping us have a better situation in the Arab world, the Muslim world. They're making it worse. We can talk about details. Maybe you can listen to Maryam Namazi. She talks about that a little bit.
Mm.
How the U.S. was involved in making a belt of countries around USSR/Russia.
Yeah.
And that was a bunch of Muslim majority countries. And they didn't support democracies. They supported Islamists because they're a stronger enemy against Russia.
Absolutely.
So they were making an enemy of their enemy.
Yeah.
Just to make their strongest enemy weaker.
Yeah, exactly.
But what that did is make everything worse in the Arab and Muslim countries.
Absolutely.
For us.
Absolutely.
And
yeah.
to be clear, it's bad for the West too. They're just not seeing it that way. It's bad for the whole world.
Yeah. And they did it again and again and again. I mean, they did that.
Yes.
If you look at the history of, for example, of Muslim Brotherhood, there are documents that says that the Brits back in the late 20s, early 30s, they were the one who were actually supporting the Muslim Brotherhood, because they were against, in Egypt, they were against the nationalists who were calling for independence of Egypt. So they wanted them to clash. And of course, Muslim Brotherhood became what it is now. It's the same thing happened in Afghanistan, because Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan, so they wanted to push them out. And then it's like, how can we do that? It's like, yeah, let's support religious group, because the natural enemy of communism is religion. Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry.
Russia was atheists.
Yes. And they were communists, yeah. So again, I remember, you can find it online. There was on the front page of New York Times where they described Osama bin Laden as a freedom fighter, and 10 years later, he's described as a terrorist. So
and he didn't change his principles. He didn't change his activities.
No.
The only thing that changed was his alignment to which country.
No, it's exactly like now with Giuliani in Syria. 6 months ago, he was wanted, and all of a sudden now he's okay. We can deal with him. It's the same guy. He did what he did in those years, and still he's not held accountable.
Well, isn't he claiming he's not going to do it anymore, though?
I mean, how come, just one day before he was a member of a terrorist group,
because now he has a state.
Next day,
because now he has a state.
Yeah, but and the next day is how can you? Okay, let me put it this way: when you denounce religion as an atheist, it takes years to change your mind on whatever value system you have. And this guy, one day he believed in this.
Hey, if you believe in Allah, you can do anything.
Yes, and then the next day he's believing in borders and countries and politics, and because the Islamic State, or these religious people, they don't believe in borders. They believe in everywhere should be under Islam. And then the next day he believed okay, I'm going to control only Syria, and I have to deal with all. So it's it's politics, again, it's politics.
A lot of politics.
Yes. Yeah.
And which is going back to tribalism again, or at least a flavor of tribalism, which is nationalism.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's true. Sure. So again, it's ridiculous, the whole thing of, and that's why I don't believe in such labels when they say this group is a terrorist group. No, it's not, because that same group with the same values, if they switch sides, then all of a sudden it's okay. Nelson.
If the term terrorism has any meaning, and if you apply the logic of that meaning and use a test on every country to see if it is a terrorist organization, then the U.S. and Israel would be terrorist organizations.
Yeah, it's the same thing with Nelson Mandela. Till the late 80s, he was considered a terrorist, and then he was not. And the same thing goes with Osama bin Laden. He was not a terrorist, and then he became a terrorist. And the same thing goes with
To be clear, though, somebody could actually change their mind. They could have they could have ideas that make them terrorists, and then they could I don't know, let's say switch religions and say, oh, all of this I did before was wrong. Now I'm doing this. That could happen. And I'm sure that's happened in real life in some cases. But all the cases we're talking about, they didn't change anything. Only the label changed because some political alliance changed. That's it.
Yeah. No, it's exactly. It's about which side are you? And the minute that you are on the right side, then you are fine. The minute that you switch sides, then you are a terrorist. It's like I bet you that now, if let's say Hamas recognize Israel and wants to do peace with Israel, they will not be considered as a terrorist group.
There's another example of this is really old. The term barbarian. It doesn't mean somebody that has a certain set of principles.
Yeah.
What it actually means is people that are not Roman or Greek.
Yeah.
So it's just automatically saying everyone outside of our country is a lesser, uncivilized, savage barbarian.
Yeah.
That's the same thing the term terrorism is doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Anyway, I guess we'll leave it with that. That very disgusting thing we just said. And hopefully, Hani, we see you next week and for other weeks.
Yeah.
I think we're going back to the topic of part 4 of the Big Bang. What put the bang in the Big Bang, God or something else?
Yeah. I think we need Osama for this.
He'll be here.
Yeah. Good.
All right. So bye, everyone. Take it easy. See you next week.
Bye, everyone. And season's greetings.